No, a hot dog isn't a sandwich. For the average Reels or Shorts watcher with the attention span of a hot dog, you can stop watching now. As for those a little more keen on having an explanation, well, I simply think that they're too different to be the same thing. In essence, they might share similar ingredients, and it could even be argued to look similar to each other with the meat between bread sort of combo. But they clearly have very distinct origins and are not just a mere variant of the other. It all comes down to rhetoric and wordplay in defining what a hot dog or what a sandwich is, which are all technicalities that might be correct, but not necessarily true. If you're still not convinced and would like some more evidence to back up my claim, quantitatively speaking, a survey found that the majority of people also did not think that a hot dog was a sandwich, and qualitatively speaking, the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council has declared them to be different things, with a list of very convincing reasons. So that's my answer to the silly little question, and I didn't clickbait you. However, as you can see, the video has not yet ended. And for those who know me, analyzing things or over-analyzing things, as pointless as they might be, is a hobby of mine. So stick around for something a little more if you're interested. The question and title of the video is a segue into something a little bit more serious and perhaps controversial depending on the subject of discussion. Yeah, it can still apply to silly debates about hot dogs and sandwiches, but also to sensitive topics like social issues such as the death penalty, abortion, and politics. Well, I'm not actually going to cover those sensitive topics because I am a coward and I don't want to get lynched. Also, I am simply not well informed enough yet on these things to talk about them here. However, while what I want to talk about isn't anything specific to these issues, I would argue that it is something that they all share in common. And that thing is the gray area. The gray area, middle ground, the centrist position, or some might even say the fence sitters, is nothing new or revolutionary. But I feel like with how quickly information and misinformation is being spread around the world nowadays, with the internet and all that, we might risk overlooking this extremely important middle position. So quick are we, and yes, me included sometimes, to have this bad habit of jumping to conclusions like a pendulum that swings all the way to one side or the other, the extreme ends, without any second thought. When we agree with something, we then risk forming an echo chamber around us, getting information that constantly reaffirms our own beliefs without thinking outside of the box. And even more dangerous and I think prevalent with how incendiary online content has become to get engagement is when we see something that we don't like and immediately jump to the comments to post insults or seek out people that also disagree, or perhaps worse of all, to simply skip the post without even letting it play out entirely. The point I'm trying to make is that we should take some time to process the information and hear the other side out at times before we cast our judgment. And even when we do, we don't solidify that into permanence, but be willing to accept change if contrasting and compelling evidence shows up. In essence, it is simply the scientific method of figuring stuff out. And don't let that name confuse you, because it applies to way more than just what you typically think of science. Does it not make logical sense to always be rational and have reason behind your belief and arguments? And how can you do that without even attempting to be impartial in your views and hear out the opposing side? That's not to say that you should always sit on the fence and not give your opinion or to always concede to the other side. Sometimes the other side is just completely wrong. I mean, look at anti-vaxxers and flat earthers. What is important is simply to take time and understand a different perspective. And most crucially and perhaps painfully, the fact that you might be the one who's in the wrong. And then comes the part when you do lose the argument that you are wrong. So what? Move on. Everyone gets stuff wrong. Even the most brilliant minds of human history have probably made some kind of goof in some way. That's just how we learn and progress. So, is a hot dog a sandwich? No, I disagree, but what do you think? You tell me why I'm right or why I'm wrong.